And we're back, boys and girls. This is Benjamin Bangchua bringing you another F1 23 ranked online video. And you all know how much I hate Austria. Well, guess what? I got 2 more races at Austria for you today because Cody's doesn't like to randomize the tracks for some reason. So, 3 of the last 4 races, actually, of the 4 races that I've done this week, 3 of them have been at Austria, which hasn't been great for me since I don't really like this track. We have 1 race at Imola, and then the rest of the races have been at Austria. I haven't had 1 race at Hungary at all. But anyway, our first race today, as you can see, we are on the Inter starting P4 here. P2 gets a bad start, and so we have to slow down to keep behind. And you can see we're actually ghosted on this first lap. I wasn't expecting this since I thought we were still racing an A license, but apparently this is a B license race, so I must have gotten into a lobby with 1 or 2 B license drivers. So we have ghosting on this first lap. Wish I would have known that. I would have gone way harder on that first lap and probably made up a whole bunch of positions. But now we are down to P8, and I want to get in front of as many cars as I can because once we start lap number 2, it's going to be regular contact in this lobby. So I suppose the first time that we were in a B license race should have been that when we went to the setup screen and we could only use default setup. So I can't remember which one this was, which setup I used, but the front wings were 27, I believe. I don't know if you'll see me moving the wings up a little bit for my pit stop later on. I don't know if it's in this video, but whatever the default setup is with the front wing set to 27, that's the setup that we use since it's supposed to be drying up later in the race. So I didn't want to go high downforce because the rain wasn't going to last forever, but I didn't want to go high speed either because then we wouldn't have had any traction in the rain. So start of lap number 2 now, we are down to P6, and I think we still have some ghosting behind us because there were cars that were on top of each other, but now there should be contact again, and we're just going to go a little tentative into turn number 3 here. And yeah, this guy in the Red Bull livery just sends it down the inside and smacks into everybody. So we lose a position because of that, but I figured better to lose a position than a front wing or just DNF from the race because he destroyed our car. So we just let him on through. We didn't really have a choice there, and now we're being slowed down because everybody in front of us is going really slow. We lose another position because we have a little bit of a moment of oversteer there out of turn 4. But we are sitting P8 now, and we are going to be here for a little while. And I'm sure, as you all know, in the rain, it's just impossible to overtake. If there was just 1 car ahead of me, I think I would have been able to do it, but because there was like always 3 or 4 cars directly in front of me, it was almost impossible to make a move just because everybody was so close together going into the corners. Now we do have Joshua in P9 behind us. He did manage to stick around for a little bit, which made it a little bit more difficult to make a move because if we made a mistake, we would have lost 1 more position. So I was a bit hesitant to make any moves during the rain period here. So you'll see we actually get stuck in traffic for quite a bit of time here, and I think we had more pace. The leaders aren't even that far ahead. As you can see, they're just exiting this corner now. They're not even that far ahead as everybody just goes off in the rain here, but overtaking it was just really difficult for me. I don't do much running in the rain. I don't think I even have like an Inter setup for Austria yet, and so it was really a lot of exploratory laps. Took me a long while to get used to the Inter's tires here, and so you can see there's just 4 cars battling right in front of us. Inside, outside, there's really nowhere for us to go. I can't even use any overtake. We're still almost at 90% here because I thought, why waste my battery? We're not going to be able to make a move anyway. So I do use it every once in a while to kind of keep close to the cars in front of us, but I'm not going to waste a bunch of battery to try and overtake when everybody is so close in front of us here. Yeah, you can see there's just nowhere to go as Samurai clatters the wall there, but I don't think he got any damage because he didn't come in on the next lap. So I was hoping that he would have gotten some front wing damage there and we would have gotten a free position, but he's still on the track here. As you can see, we cut to lap 11 now, and we are still just sitting in P8 because there is nowhere to go. Now we did manage to drop the cars behind us. Joshua is now about 2.5 seconds behind, but we can't really move forward. And as you can see, the leaders are still right there, just exiting this right-hand corner right now. So they're not really even extending from us. I think everybody was just fighting so hard here that it was impossible for anybody to create a gap or anything like that. So we're right up next to Samurai here, and He clatters into us. Whatever. He goes off wide. You'll hear me. I think you'll see me say something, but yeah, I'm sure you can lip read and figure out what I said there. But we did get in position. We're up to P7 now, as the two cars in front of us are fighting at the moment. So again, I was hoping that they would make some contact and one of them would get some damage and we could get a free position, but it shouldn't be difficult to catch up to these guys. But as long as they're this close to each other and fighting as hard as they are, and luckily for us, one of them does make a mistake. Carter goes into that corner there and hits the wall, and so we gain one more position. So up to P6 now without really having to do much. And again, the leaders are still right there. The two blue dots and the yellow dot on the map, they haven't been able to extend at all. So it's still looking good for us, even though we're on P6. Now, we got the notification that we're going dries as the two cars in front of us drive into each other. And the track dried up super quick. We just got the notification about half a lap ago, and as you can see, the track is already dried. I thought the track was going to stay wet for a little while longer, so I decided to go long. I figured everybody else in front of us were so close together, they were fighting anyway. Hopefully they'll come out of the pits, continue to fight, and then we can get an overcut on them. But the track just dried up so damn quick. As you can see now, it is practically completely dry track, and I thought we were going to get damp track for maybe 1 or 2 more laps. I can use these inters to take advantage of that, but it is pretty much dry running at this point, so we kind of made a mistake. Probably should have came in right there. But myself, the guy in P1 and Josh behind us, we all decided to stay out on the inters for 1 more lap, and yeah, this was definitely a mistake. We lost so much time here. Robert Cosi, I think, was the leader, is only 13 seconds behind us, and I'm not quite sure how long the pit stops are at Austria, but 13 seconds is not going to be enough. So we're going to have to deal with some traffic when we come out of the pit lane. So pitting in P2, and we've lost a ton of time. And as you can see now, the track is completely dry. It went from inters to completely dry in like a lap and a half. So we did make a mistake there, but I've never seen that before. I've never seen the track dry that quickly before, and I thought I had a little bit of time. So big mistake there. We lose a couple of positions. Where were we? I think we were P6 once everybody started to pit, and now we are down to P7. So we did lose just 1 position, I believe, but we're still in a good spot now. I think we were on the wrong setup here, as it just seemed like we had no straight line speed. So I was just hoping that our cornering speed would be enough to help us gain some position. So as you can see, there was a car in the wall in front of us. He did DNF, and so we did gain 1 position. We are up to P6 now, as I think he left the game. And jumping to lap number 16 now, we are still in P6, closing in on the cars in front of us. I think there was some contact because the cars were about 4 or 5 seconds ahead of us about a lap ago, and now they are just 1 and 2 seconds. And you can see there's carbon fiber just flying all over the track, and as we round turn 1 here, 1 car gone off and ghosted, and I believe the car in front of us has damage. So hopefully we can make it back up to P4 where we started and get some points here. I wasn't quite sure who got the damage just yet, but going through the next few corners, you can definitely tell that it's the driver ahead of us who's got damage, just because he's got a load of understeer and it's just taking him forever to make it through corners. So I was thinking hopefully he's not a dirty driver and won't do anything stupid to us and prevent us from overtaking him as we go through this left-hand corner. As you can see, he just cannot get the turn in on his car. And luckily for us, he seemed like a decent guy here. As we run this left-hand turn, he just thought, what's the point of fighting? He doesn't have any pace. He pulls over and slows down and allows us to pass. I think that's what he was doing, or maybe he was trying to go into the pits, but then the car behind drives into him. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there. I think he was trying to go for the pits, or maybe he was just unaware that there was a car behind him, but unfortunately for the car behind us, he drove into the guy that let us by. So I don't think that was intentional. I think they just caught up to each other at a bad place on track. But luckily for us, we were able to pass him before we got to that corner, so we did manage to make it up to P4. And this is where we will sit, although we did catch up to Boyd James in front of us, but it's the final lap here, so there's really nothing we can do. We did manage to close in this gap, but that was pretty much all that happened in this race. So starting P4, losing a bunch of positions in the rain in the first few laps there. Some of it our fault, some of it not really our fault, with drivers just not stopping on time. But we did manage to move back up to P4, so all in all, I think it was a decent recovery race here, and a good chunk of points to allow us to add on to our total and hopefully get promoted to Silver 2 for next week. So P4 at the end of it all, not too bad. I think I need to do some more practice in the rain though, as our pace on the inters just were not there. But as you can see, we closed in 1 second on the driver in front of us in 2 sectors, so it wasn't too bad of a race. Now we're moving on to the second race of the day, and like I said before, it was at Austria again. I can't stand this track. I hate this track. It just makes it so easy for people to track extend and make up a bunch of time. And I was hoping, because Hungary has 18 laps as well, Austria has 18 laps, and you can't see which track you're going to be in until you actually get into qualifying. And I was hoping it was going to be Hungary, but it turned out to be Austria again. So not a terrible start for us, but I didn't want to get wiped out, so we just kind of went a little tentative into turn 1 there, and then we lost 2 positions. But I think that was a good thing for us, because just keep an eye on this PSU Lian guy out in front of us. Just really, really aggressive and causing a lot of mayhem going into Cozy there. And I decided I'll just sit back. I did turn on the overtake for a little bit to defend from the guys behind us, but these guys are all hitting each other here. Cozy goes in a little bit late, has a little bit of contact with PSU Lian. PSU Lian comes back onto the track, and then Cozy just kind of gets pinched in there, and everybody goes into the wall. And somebody else behind us just didn't bother braking. I don't know who that was. But now we have moved up to P2 without really having to do anything. There was only about, I think, 6 or 7 guys in this lobby, so really small lobby here. So now we're in P2, good position to be in. Yeah, you can see on screen why I hate racing at Austria. I'm not even going to mention it again. So we're in a good position here. Big Fat Monkey behind us on the mediums actually had pretty decent pace early on, and I was worried because he's on the mediums and he's still within DRS of us. So I was looking behind us and looking in front of us as well, but he's not, doesn't look like he's using overtake, because we're not using overtake, and Big Fat Monkey is not really closing up on us either. So I was hoping that PSU Lian would be using a bunch of overtake here to try and extend a little bit, make up for his lack of pace, relative lack of pace. And then once DRS is enabled, we can just close up on him and overtake him quite easily. But, I mean, there was a lot of contact on that first lap. Some of it was his fault, some of it wasn't his fault. I think the crash that happened right here on track, it was just a racing incident where 3 cars trying to take up the same position on track, and it just was never going to work. But because you're so aggressive on lap number 1, I didn't want to get too aggressive, and I figured we're not using overtake anyway. We still have 100% battery here, and we're still able to keep up with him. So I'm not going to risk too much until DRS isn't enabled. I'm trying to be nice. I'm not going to say anything. Okay. I don't want 2 videos of me just bitching about track extensions. So we did set the fastest lap, and then Big Fat Monkey takes the fastest lap from us. Now DRS is enabled, and we are using DRS, and I don't know, did we use, yeah, I think we did use a little bit of overtake there just to close up a bit. I don't know if this guy's on controller or not. He's kind of doing that squiggly left right movement that you usually see with controller players. So we get a good exit, a better exit out of that corner there, and we're going to go down the inside. Hopefully he doesn't try to do anything too crazy, just sit on the apex there. Good for us, and he really can't do anything at this point. So now that we're in front of him and I know that we got the pace, we're just going to turn on the battery, trying to extend outside of DRS. He goes a little bit wide into this left hand corner, goes off track a little bit, but that's good for us as it allows us to extend the gap a little bit. Now P3 on the mediums is starting to catch up as well, so I'm hoping to God we can drop these guys from DRS. Maybe those 2 will start battling, and then we can make an escape here and make it impossible for them to catch up. So now they're already both out of DRS and out by a good margin as well. Now we're actually closing in on a 2-second gap. So Big Fat Monkey takes the position. Now they're fighting and they're losing time. Look at this, they're just bleeding time to us. And this is why I always tell you guys early on in the race, if you're going up against somebody that's similar pace with you, don't fight. Look what happens when you fight. Look how much time I just gained because those 2 decided to fight. They're continuing to fight, and we are now at 3 seconds ahead. And it's only going to get bigger because they're going to continue to fight for some reason. Australia is one of those tracks where there's 3 DRS zones all in a row. It would be better if they just worked together, kept leapfrogging each other from DRS zone to DRS zone and closed up the gap to me. But instead of doing that, they're continuing to fight. I mean, it's a race. You have every right to fight, but I think the smart thing to do would be to work together and try to close the gap up to me, because I obviously wasn't on pole. I think the qualifying times were actually pretty close. The top 4, top 5 guys were pretty close, all within a second. So I think if they would have been a little bit smarter, they probably would have been able to close up to me. And so now, lap 10, we decide to come into pit. The 3 guys behind of us already pit. P1, net P1 right now. And the guy that was behind us is going out 1 extra lap on his mediums, and he's only got a 9.5 second gap to us. So we should be able to easily jump him once he does come into the pits. But I mean, look how much time they lost just from fighting each other. It seemed like the guy in mediums on the first stint seemed like he had pretty decent pace. But instead of working together to try to catch up to me, they fought each other to the point where by the time I came into the pits, I think I had like a 8.5, 9 second gap to the driver that's currently in P1 right now, and the other drivers just started losing time. So yeah, lesson number 1 there, guys. Don't lose time fighting needlessly. Work together, especially when it's like lap 3 and you still got 15 laps left to go. It's so early in the race. Fighting for position that early on in the race just doesn't make any sense. It just allowed me to extend the gap a bit more. So now we or the driver in P1 comes into pit, and we have passed him already, and look how big of a gap we got from the undercut and from them fighting behind us. So unfortunately for Big Fat Monkey, by the time he comes out of the pit lane here, the drivers behind P3 and P4 who got a 2 or 3 lap undercut on him have already caught up, and now he's caught in the middle of those guys, or at the end of those guys. He's on the soft tires, he's on the faster tire, he's on the fresher tires, but he can't do anything because he's the 3rd guy in a DRS train. So maybe going that extra lap was probably the wrong decision. He probably should have pitted on the lap that we pit, and I think most likely he would have come out in front of the Schwartz and Ty Semba there, but unfortunately he went out one lap too long, and he is now caught up behind these guys. So we have a very comfortable lead right now, 15 second lead, and these 3 guys behind us are going to continue to fight, and we are going to continue to stretch our lead. So yeah, really good race for us. Unfortunate for all the other drivers, and by the time we come to the end of lap 17 and starting lap 18, we have a 22 second lead on Ty Semba in P2. And Big Fat Monkey Softs, I think at this point the best of his tires are gone, and he has dropped back to about 29 seconds behind us. So yeah, some mistakes were made. I think some of these guys behind us could have had a much better race, and probably would have finished a lot closer if they didn't fight so much. And yeah, I can't stress that enough, guys. Lap 2, lap 3, if you're similar pace with everybody else, fighting for a position, fighting super hard for a position that early is not really great. So we got a pretty easy race here. 2 of our competitors got knocked out on lap 1, which made things a lot easier for us, as we didn't qualify on pole anyway. So I think we probably might have finished P2 had the incidents on lap 1 not happened, but fortunately for us they did, and we managed to pull out this win. So another race at Austria, another boring race at Austria, but I will take the win and I will take the points. Oddly enough, I only got 80 points for this win, but I got 100 points for the P4 finish in the first race. So I don't really know how they score the races. Though to be fair, in the first race, I think we had a full lobby, maybe almost 20 drivers in the first race, and in this race we only had 7 drivers. So plus I think the competition was a little bit tougher in the first race, as we only managed to qualify P4. But what I did do for these races is I reset my wheel right as the qualifying session started, so we actually had force feedback in the qualifying round, so that was always good. But that's it for us, guys. I'm currently sitting in the promotion zone for Silver 2 for next week. And I think I'm going to do some more races tomorrow just to make sure that we make it into Silver 2, make sure that we actually get some competitive races for the next few episodes. But that's it. that's 2 races that we did today. So if you think I've earned it, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more, guys. Remember to eat your bok choy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.